NASCAR Busch Series racing at Nashville is brought to you by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. By Aaron's, with over 1,400 stores nationwide, everyone is a lucky dog at Aaron's. And DirecTV. For the most sports in HD, you have to get DirecTV.
Green flag waving again over the Dover 200.
Slow on the left rear again.
I didn't come up here to lose the race at the pit.
The green team hitting the black and white car.
What a move by Richard Childress.
All right, let it go, boys.
Off turn number 4, Carl Edwards powers by this time, gets the spot.
Carl Edwards heads for the checkered flag.
Carl Edwards has been the man. He is a winner today at Dover, Delaware.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Busch Series comes to you tonight from Nashville Superspeedway, where 43 drivers are hoping to hit the winning note and take that custom guitar trophy away from Music City. Beautiful night here in Tennessee. Look at that beautiful blue sky. No threat of rain. It is a little warm, 86 degrees, but this race is going to end just after dark, and it'll be much more comfortable for the fans and drivers then. Will we get a first-time winner tonight? 5 of the 6 in the top 6 starting spots have never won a Busch Series race. Let's get started.
Welcome Dennis Curley from Rated Bestest Brakes. Dennis.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, start your engines!
All right, let's go upstairs to the guys who call the race. Dr. Jerry Punch, Andy Petrie, and Rusty Wallace.
Thank you, Al. You know, if history is any indicator, we could see a first-time winner here tonight. Now, 6 of the 12 races held here, dating back to 2001, have sent a driver to victory lane for the first time in their NASCAR Busch Series careers. And one of the prime candidates tonight is our pole sitter, your 19-year-old son, Stephen Wallace. So, Dad, share with us right now what you think Stephen is thinking about. What's going through the young man's mind?
Well, right now, Jerry thinks this is a great opportunity for him. He loves this racetrack. He likes the design of it, and he feels like he's got a good car. They've really worked hard on the handling of this car. They know they're under a little bit of pressure to make it run good. They've had some problems of late. But right now, he feels good about his chances here at Nashville.
Andy, there are 6 drivers starting in the top 10 tonight who have never won a NASCAR Busch Series event. If you're their crew chief or car owner, what do you say to them just before they climb in the car about this huge opportunity they have tonight?
Well, Jerry, this race has been marked on a lot of guys' calendars as being one that's a great opportunity to win for them. And so what the crew chief's got to do right as they're strapping in the car is say, look, we got to make sure we don't make any mistakes, and then we have a good car with all the fenders on it so we have a chance to win at the end of the race.
It is the Opportunity 300. 29 drivers in the field tonight have never won a NASCAR Busch Series event. When we come back, we'll talk with our in-race reporter, Carl Edwards, and we'll watch Stephen Wallace's Jackman, Wade Luxton, at work, courtesy of our crew cam. So stay with us. Back at Nashville Superspeedway, the cars are getting set to roll as we take a look at our starting grid. A 19-year-old Stephen Wallace picking up his 2nd pole of the year in just his 33rd career start. Flanking him, the veteran Clint Boyer, a 2-time winner this year. Now, as you take a look at where your favorite driver is starting across the top of our screen, let's check in and visit with our in-race reporter, the driver of the Dish Network Ford, Carl Edwards.
Carl Edwards, Rusty Wallace up at ESPN. You got us?
Loud and clear, Rusty. You got me?
Hey, buddy, you've only had 2 qualifying laps, and you haven't practiced at all in that car. How do you think that thing's going to handle for you?
Well, I've got a lot of faith in Matt McCall and this whole Dish Network team, and I really think it's going to be all right. It's got to be, you know, that's all we got.
You know, it seems like you keep winning on these concrete racetrack. What is it with your team? You got a pretty good setup on the concrete, not only here at Nashville, but what about last week at Dover?
Yeah, the concrete stuff's been awesome. You know, Matt Lucas, our engineer, and PK, the guys have been working on a lot of really neat stuff, and it's made it a dream to drive. And I mean, you guys are talking about in practice, the car has to be perfect, and they're making it pretty easy. So hopefully today's another one of those days.
All right, buddy, thanks for talking to us. Have a good run.
10-4, Rusty. Congratulations there on your son's pole. I hope everybody enjoys the race.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right. right, let's check in with his crew chief, PK, Pierre Cattell.
Hey, PK, it's Andy up in the booth. You got a copy?
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I got you. Hey, PK, it's Andy in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you there. Who's this?
Hey, it's Andy up in the ESPN booth. What can you guys carry over in terms of setup from your win here in April?
We actually came back with the same basic setup, so we had Matt go out there, run around the car. He did a great job for us. And actually carried a lot of it over, made a small adjustment, tried to stay within the window of what we had there, so Carl was comfortable with that.
Yeah, this kind of a weekend, is it tougher on somebody like you guys, like the crew and the crew chief, or is it tougher on the driver having to run back and forth?
I'd have to say it's tougher on the driver. You know, we got a good setup from the last time we were here, so we just kind of polished on it. And I'd have to say it's tougher for Carl. All that sprint he's got to do from helicopter pads to qualifying and everything.
Yeah, we caught all that, man. He's in good enough shape to be able to do that. You guys have a great race, PK.
All right, thank you very much, Andy. Have a good day.
All right, we'll be riding along with 8 high-definition onboard cameras. Clint Boyer starts second in the BB&T Chevrolet. Mike Wallace, the Geico Chevy, back in 33rd. Richard Johns starts 13th at FreeCreditReport.com Ford. And, of course, Greg Biffle starts 31st at Cub Cadet Ford. Marcus Ambrose starts 5th in the Vizio Ford. Already heard from Carl Edwards. Curtis Davis starts 25th in the Dollar General Chevrolet. And David Rudeman starts 30th in the Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota. Now, just before we go green, let's check in with some final stories from the pits. First, here's Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, there's one driver in the field who's feeling a tremendous amount of pressure tonight. That's the 21 of Timothy Peters. Now, this is the same crew and car that went to the championship victory with Kevin Harvick last year. Now, Timothy Peters, his first year in the car, not getting the results that Richard Childress and this organization have expected. You could say he's racing for his job tonight. So, the way that he succumbed to the pressure today, he went out and qualified fourth, his best effort of the year. Mike?
Marcus Ambrose says just a few weeks ago in Charlotte, he had a revelation. During driver introductions, he said for the first time it felt normal, like he actually belonged in this series. That comfort might be translating to results. A week ago in Dover, he finished 6th, his best performance thus far in the Busch Series. Tonight, he starts 5th, looking for his first career win, and he says it's just a matter of time before we turn all this promise into great things. Shannon?
Well, Mike, so far today, it's been a great day for the young guys. 7 Busch-only drivers qualified in the top 10. One of those drivers, Todd Cleaver, driver of the number 16 Roush Fenway Ford, qualified 6th. He's starting this race 6th tonight. He finished 10th last year, driving the same car. I approached Todd before driver introductions. I told him that I'd be calling his pit stops and covering him during the race. He said, I think we're going to give you a lot to talk about. This is the best this team has been all year. Doc?
All right, thank you, Shannon. Let's check in and see what we should watch for tonight. What are the keys to this race tonight, Andy?
Well, we got a lot of new faces that are trying to get their first win and maybe a great finish tonight. Which one of these guys can emerge as a contender is one of the things we're going to watch tonight. And then the standalone pit crews. With not having a Nextel Cup race here this weekend, you got a lot of guys out here that have their Busch-only pit crews in this race, so they'll get to go against each other head-to-head without all the hired guns from the Nextel Cup Series. And then you got the double-duty drivers just coming in here from Pocono. They've only had a couple of laps in these cars, and those were in qualifying trim. So these guys are going to have to really communicate with their crew and their crew chiefs to get their cars dialed in before midway so they can have a chance to win this race.
Okay, normally we ask our driver, Rusty Wallace, to tell us what these guys are thinking right now, just as we're a lap away from the green flag. But I want to know what you're thinking. Tonight, your 19-year-old son might realize a dream. It could be a big night for the Wallace family. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm nervous for him, that's for sure. Obviously, we're going to call a good race on ESPN here tonight. That's our main focus. But I have one eye looking out the window on my own son, that's for sure. I hope he has a great race tonight. I hope the car handles good, has good pit stops. Those are the things going through my mind, Jerry.
All right, it's a 300-miler, 225 laps. The turns are 14 degrees. The front stretches make 9 degrees. The back straightaway, 6 degrees. This is the 13th NASCAR Busch Series event ever held here at the Concrete Oval, Nashville Superspeedway. 1 1/3 miles. If you've never been here, we're about 20 minutes east of downtown Nashville, Tennessee. It is the 15th stop of 35 on the NASCAR Busch Series $50 million tour. And how truly appropriate on a week where we all mourn the loss of a man whose family put this sport on the map, that it would be family we talk about here as leading the field down to the green flag.
Well, we're all thinking about the France family this week, that's for sure. But, you know, right now, France would want it to be focusing on racing, and that's what we're doing right now. Jerry, when these guys haul off into turn one right now, the first thing they got to think about is this car going to handle? Don't get loose side by side. Don't spin this car. We're talking about almost 90 degrees here at Nashville. It's hot outside.
On a beautiful night in Music City, USA, the stars of the NASCAR Busch Series take center stage. As they get set to head to the green flag, let's listen in as we go full throttle.
Cars off, be ready. All right, buddy, get ready. Cars off. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Be ready. Inside corner, still there. Inside corner. Inside, clear. Too wide, still too wide. 37 still in there, still inside.
As they mix it up back in the pack, young Stephen Wallace has set sail. Whoa, trouble here on the front straightaway. Curtis Davis is sideways and into the wall. He spins around. David Rudemann's car also looping around. Brett Sherman.
When you're falling off. Bring it in when the pits are open. We're going to change the 4 tires and fix the left rear.
Major crash, Jerry. Took and had about 4 or 5 cars in the front straightaway here right now. We'll go back to the replays and check this shortly. But the first lap coming to the line, Andy, it looks like they're trying to get the job done just a little too quick.
Yeah, just like we talked about on the open there, is that these guys have got it's a long race, 300 miles long race. You don't want to wreck that race car in the first lap. And it just looks like somebody got a little bit too aggressive here on the first lap of the race.
Let's see if we can see what happened here. Coming down to complete the first lap, there, the 99 car was involved. There's the contact there, Chris Olof and Curtis Davis.
I'm not so sure whose fault that was, though. You saw, you know, Chris Olof on the top of the racetrack, and Curtis Davis looks like he got up and just got into the left rear quarter panel of Chris Olof. You know, just 3 wide. Let's take one more look at this. Different angle right
Already
there.
Had the contact, and these guys are sliding by, and Rudeman just barely gets by, gets a little nick from one of the cars spinning. He's kind of an innocent victim of that.
Here's the onboard camera from Michael Waltrip.
Still outside. Still outside. Tracking in front of you. Come on, high. Go. Good job.
Boy, nice job for Mike Wallace to be able to get through that when you really couldn't see a lot. He had to trust that spotter.
Boy, it's just a matter of inches that he made it through there, through all the smoke and all that, but did a great job.
All the 4 here again, the contact. Watch the 14 car and the 77 come together.
You know, it looks like Curtis Davis just kind of lost the front end of that car, and it slid up the racetrack and got in the left rear quarter panel of Kyle Krisloff. Now, it almost appeared they were a little bit 3 wide, Andy, coming off of turn 4. And maybe that Curtis got stuck in the center. You know, you saw the 99 of Rudeman on the bottom. So they kind of got forced into 3 wide there.
What a great job by David Rudeman to avoid that. He said, I didn't come all the way from Pocono to run 1 lap. He stayed on the racetrack, and Curtis Davis has some damage on the right front. Back with the green in just a moment. And back in Nashville, Tennessee, we are back to green flag racing after that caution for 4 laps, and Stephen Wallace continues to lead the way with Clint Boyer in second spot. Those two have moved away by about 7 or 8 car lengths from Eric Almirola and Marcus Ambrose.
And boy, I tell you, that clean air that these guys got out front, Clint Boyer and Stephen Wallace, it really lets them take off because all these cars are making max downforce right now with all the air hitting in front of them. Now you see Clint closing in on Stephen in the straightaway just a little bit here. Let's see if he's got a little better handle on car.
If you just joined our coverage, remember this driver, Clint Boyer, only got 2 laps in the car. He was qualifying in the top 5 at Pocono. So this is the first lap he's had really in race trim, and he moves to the inside of Stephen Wallace to challenge for the lead.
Yeah, Stephen wisely gives him the spot here because it looked like the 66 car was a little bit loose getting into turn 1. That might turn out to be a good thing for him later in the race when the track gets cooler and it starts getting dark. I think that might even play into his favor later.
When they burn some fuel off these cars and the temperatures come down, generally the cars that are loose, they kind of get neutral. They'll get handling much, much better. And as you see right now, it looks like the 2-car Clint Boyer is glued to the bottom of the racetrack. Steven's car is still a little bit loose, but pretty hanging tough right there.
Yeah, if I was his crew chief, I'd just tell him just to kind of chill out here and we'll just ride a while, see how the car where it goes.
Moments ago, the first caution flag came out, and let's show you what Curtis Davis's onboard camera showed us as he was coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, just too aggressive here, and he looks like he just pushed up into the 14.
Hold it down.
Curtis Davis did in the 77.
That wasn't your fault, bro.
And for more information on safety, you can log on to ESPN.com, search word safety. You understand how that can happen early in the race when the car just slips up the racetrack. Battle for 7th spot. Regan Smith making the move inside of Marcus Ambrose, and Ambrose is under attack from the 35 and the 90. That's Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 35 and the 90. Stephen Light trying to back up that good run at Dover a week ago.
We saw the 59 car wiggle a little bit coming off the corner there. A lot of these guys have got the car set up pretty free, pretty loose, meaning the back wheels are sliding around a little bit on them. They're kind of anticipating, like we said, this track getting cooler, so we're going to see a lot of that here early.
Riding along with Marcus Ambrose onboard camera. Ambrose get that 6th place finish last week at Dover. Holds a spot. This is a concrete racetrack as opposed to most of the tracks in NASCAR that are asphalt. And Rusty, this race actually begins in the daylight and ends in darkness. How much does this kind of track change as opposed to, say, an asphalt track?
Well, Jerry, a concrete track's not going to change near as much as an asphalt track is. An asphalt track has the oils in the asphalt, and when it's real hot, they bleed up to the top, and the track does not have much grip. Versus a concrete racetrack, it doesn't have that. So, you know, it's going to get a little tighter as the sun goes down, but not near as drastic as an asphalt racetrack. And this particular track, this is probably one of the best designed tracks I've ever seen.
Here's a battle for 4th spot. Scott Wimmer, who was the pick of our Brad Daugherty to watch tonight, he is making a move to get around Carl Edwards, or Edwards trying to make a move to get back around Scott Wimmer and makes the pass.
This is some great racing, but I tell you what, if I was these guys, I'd actually almost be a little nervous if my car was too good at this point of the race because of the changing conditions. So these guys that are getting past right now, I'm sure aren't too worried about it right now.
Again, Carl Edwards, our points leader, as you heard at the top of the show, one of 8 drivers doing double duty here. They spent all day yesterday. They could not get out of Pocono, Pennsylvania because of a weather front that was between us and Pocono, so they had to have substitute drivers jump in and drive his car. And it was Matt McCall who helped set up the 60 car for Carl Edwards. He got here just in time to qualify and turned in a lap good enough to start 7th, and now just settling into that 60 car to get comfortable in race trim.
Well, Jerry, right now he's got about 12 laps under his belt. Carl Edwards does. He's feeling pretty comfortable. You see him, he worked the bottom line. He's working the top line. He's feeling pretty good. Clint Boyer and Stephen Wallace having a great run right there. I'm watching the lap timers, guys. The 1st, 2nd, and 3rd are running about the same exact speed, but Carl Edwards about 1/10 of a second faster than the top 3 right now, so it's probably going to be a matter of time before it's reeling those guys in. But right now, the top 5 cars handling really good.
Yeah, we saw that 2 car just take off out there, and we thought maybe he'd just drive away from these guys, but he didn't. He got out there, and these guys just kind of kept pace with him pretty good.
You know, as the tire pressures come up, Andy, they start the pressures pretty low for racing, and as the pressures come up, the cars do change a lot. As the fuel burns off the back of the car, some of the cars that might have started off loose are getting neutral now, and you see Stephen Wallace running up in Clint Boyer. Obviously got a good car this week under him, and that's a matter that the pressures are coming up. He's building more confidence in his car also.
As you watch the battle for 3rd shaping up, the 20 car being pursued by the 60. Battles all over this racetrack. Here's a great battle back for 13th position as Marcus Ambrose loses the spot to Jason Keller.
Hey, Jason Keller, I've watched him. He's been passing cars high and low. He's making a lot of headway towards the front.
You know, Keller, he's got a lot of experience. I mean, this guy's been in the Busch Series for a long time. He knows what he needs. These 105-inch wheelbase cars are different than the NASCAR Nextel Cup cars. They drive different. They react different. And this guy really understands what he needs. Now, you see, 20 car and giving the 66 a pretty good run right now. Eric Amarillo out of Joe Gibbs. That guy's been pretty solid also. You see Edwards coming in the picture right now. He's starting to understand what he needs in his car.
There is action and passing all over this 1 1/3 mile concrete oval in Nashville, Tennessee. We are in the early laps, and right now it's Clint Boyer being chased by Stephen Wallace.
He was able to manage NASCAR as, from a point of strength. He exercised that in every way, and once he made up his mind, I mean, you didn't change that.
I think I'm the one that can coin the phrase, he was a benevolent dictator.
I remember I went in there one time and I was talking about something, and he goes, and we're not doing that. I said, okay, yeah, I got you.
He would never give up. If he wanted you to do something, he stayed on you until you finally said, I give up, and I'll do it. But he was a super guy the way he approached you about it. It wasn't a forceful, it wasn't a threat or nothing like that.
Memories of Bill France Jr., who passed away Monday, and Mr. France will certainly be missed and did more than anyone, to make the sport of NASCAR racing what it is today. NASCAR racing tonight is in Nashville, Tennessee, Nashville Superspeedway, where Clint Boyer leads, although what's behind him is shuffled up quite a bit. Eric Almirola in the Joe Gibbs 20 has just gone by Stephen Wallace into second.
Yeah, let's give Eric a shout out. He comes out of Joe Gibbs Racing Stables, and Eric was a part of the Diversity Development Driver Program 2 seasons back. Ran a lot of late model stocks throughout the Mid-Atlantic region as well as the Southeast, and stepped his way up through the trucks. Now he's in the Busch Series, and he is having a tremendous run. Let's give a pat on the back and a shout out to Joe Gibbs for taking a chance on this young man as well.
Where the driver's name is normally over the door on a race car, on that 20 car it says Cuban Missile.
Cuban Missile, baby.
He's rocketing toward the front, but he's got a long way to chase down Clint Boyer, Doc.
Yeah, Eric Almirola very proud of his Cuban heritage. He lives in Tampa, Florida, and he became the first driver of Cuban heritage to ever win a NASCAR Busch Series pole when he won last year at Milwaukee, subbing for Greg Biffle, and then he won the opener at Daytona this year. This battle just will not go away, guys, as these two veterans just keep swapping the position back and forth.
Well, Scott Wimmer driving the 29 car, chasing down Carl Edwards. It's a car that Jeff Burton normally drives, and Jeff has had a lot of success in his 29 car. You know, won some races, just always runs up front in it. So you're talking about two really good cars right there, Jared, racing side by side. And I like looking at the attitude. Look how much different the cars look. 29 car up in the air, a little in the front, a 60 car down. But you know, they run about the same speed on the racetrack.
Yeah, they're just kind of scoping each other out. Their lap times are as good as the leaders right here, and they're just kind of biding their time. They've run about 25, 27 laps here, and they're trying to, figure out what they've got so they can talk to their crews and crew chiefs and kind of predict where they need to be for their car to be better here later.
Well, now you got to believe that Carl Edwards, coming from Pocono, coming down here to Nashville, with not any practice in that car, is really looking forward to a caution flag here, next 10 or 15 laps, if one comes out, to adjust that car to get it more to his liking.
Yeah, I'm sure he's talking to PK quite often here, trying to relay all the information he can to him about the way the car is handling.
All right, the 21 car a moment ago, Timothy Peters, had such a great qualifying effort, started fourth, as now was shown a moment ago running in 7th position. Might have had a little contact with the outside concrete.
Well, just light contact there coming off the corner, but that can do a little damage there.
Yeah, he kissed that just a little bit. We really want him to have a good run tonight. He feels like he's got a little pressure, on him to perform. Maybe it's self-induced pressure. Richard Childress isn't the type of guy that puts a lot of pressure on the driver. As you see a pass here, 29 car. Wimmer just getting under Steve Wallace right now, coming down the front straightaway here.
Scott Wimmer coming off his best finish of the year last week at Dover, Delaware. With more of us, check in with Shannon.
That's right, Scott Wimmer currently running 4th. It is his 7th start here at Nashville. He said he's a really big fan of racing on concrete because you don't have to adjust to the track. You just have to adjust your race car. And when they bring that car down pit road, they are going to make some adjustments. He's saying he's really free right now and he needs more rear grip. Doc?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I like hearing that. When he's saying he's free right now, if I'm his crew chief, I'm feeling pretty good about it because he's able to run good lap times, and the track is going to tighten up.
Boy, Andy, that's not a bad thing, just like you said. As a driver, it is so hard to get your car to turn in the front end. But if you got that front end hooked up on these cars and you're a little loose, hey, they can take some air pressure out of the right rear. They can drop the right side track bar down. They can do some things like that to wake that thing up pretty quick. But, man, trying to get a push out of the front of a car, folks, let me tell you what, if you don't know much about the way these cars handle, And some of the complaining the drivers do, that's a nightmare to fix that problem sometimes.
You see this 4-car, Regan Smith, he's moved by the 60 car. He's got a pretty good car, too. It looks like Carl's struggling with his a little.
And, you know, going back to the 4-car, Andy, we announced earlier a couple days ago that they're not going to run the full schedule. They've been running the full schedule. Bobby Ginn feels as though Regan Smith is coming on so good right now that, hey, we're going to not run all these races like we thought. We're going to run just the companion races, and maybe not all of those.
Yeah, I bet that's kind of bad news for Regan. He likes racing. I'm sure he'd like to run them all himself.
And he has been impressive. 2 top 5 finishes, one of them coming here back in April. He finished 5th and also 5th at Lowe's Motor Speedway a couple of weeks ago. Well, Mike Massaro, what's going on with the 59 car?
Well, Doc, a little bit of concern about the right rear. Marcus radioing in, saying it feels like it's rolling over a little bit on the right rear. They're not sure what exactly is causing that. They may have a tire going on, but they're already contemplating as to what they'll do on the next stop, thinking about perhaps putting in a spring rubber or maybe changing some air pressure, but certainly a problem with Marcus Ambrose.
All right, thank you, Mike. We'll check in with Greg Connor and keep an eye on Marcus Ambrose, as he has now fallen back to 19th position after that great qualifying effort here early on. Well, they are chasing Clint Bowyer. He has led the last 27 laps after young Stephen Wallace led the first 6. Back with more racing from Nashville, Tennessee in just a moment.
Nashville's always been a cool place to go.
Nashville's one of those places. It's a good place to race. You can be aggressive. It's a lot of fun.
The Nets track, the driver's track, the racetrack fairly new, has a lot of grip.
But when you lose the grip, it's tough to field sometimes. That's why you see a lot of guys just spin out.
We like those size racetracks.
It has the speed of a 1.5 miles, but it drives like a short track.
Greg Biffle likes this Nashville Superspeedway. In fact, he was flying up through the field, started 31st, was up to 18th just a couple of laps ago. And as we were getting ready to look at him and talk about him, he came down pit road and had a problem.
I think we jinxed him, but Greg Biffle is a super race car driver. We talk about him week in and week out. He will work his way back through the pack up towards the front, I guarantee you.
Thought the right rear was loose on his car. Now he's 2 laps down in 36th place. You know, Greg's gone through a lot of trouble shuttling back and forth from Pocono to Nashville today to run this race. And he's not racing for the Busch Series Championship, but he did it for one reason: fun.
What makes it fun is no pressure. You know, the pressure of the points, the pressure of your job, and all the things are like secondary, you know, because you're not running for a championship, and you're just there to have fun and win. And that's what makes the Busch Series so much fun for me.
I know racing's big business, especially on the Nextel Cup side with these, you know, $15, $20 million sponsorship deals and all that, but racing's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, and he's the old throwback type of guy. He reminds you a lot of David Pearson or even Cale Yarborough. Greg Biffle can drive the wheels off of anything, and he loves to go racing.
Got his work cut out for him to get back in the hunt for this one, but Doc, I guess the bright side is it's early.
It is early, Allen. He is being shown 2 laps down in 35th position. He won his very first NASCAR Busch Series race here on the first race they ran here back in April of 2001 by dominating the night. But Rusty Wallace, the question is, we are seeing more and more guys having trouble with tires getting loose early in the race the last couple of weeks. Why is this happening?
Jerry, I don't know what the problem is right now. That happened to my car last weekend, and then 2 weeks ago it happened again. And now we just have Biffle coming down pit road a little while ago and saying he thinks his right rear's loose. These are impound races. You know, they qualify, they torque the wheels before they go out, then you're not allowed to touch the cars. Andy, I don't know if there's something going on with as they're hot and they cool back down and maybe the lugs get loose. There's something strange going on right now out here. A lot of guys are searching around the wheels. Is that the problem, or what's going on?
Well, anytime you have a problem, you know, that's reoccurring, you got to get to the bottom of it. And I don't know if it's not their wheels not torqued enough, whether they're having some problems with some of the materials, the hats that hold the rotor, the mating surfaces. I don't know what the problems are, but well, I'll tell you one thing: is my team, I'd get it fixed, and I'd get it fixed right quick.
All right, 44 of 225 laps complete. And Clint Bowyer being shown as the leader. Bowyer has led the last 38 laps after young Stephen Wallace, who sat on the pole, led the first 19. And this Bowyer, Wimmer, Almirola, and Regan Smith, his car just seems to be coming and getting faster and faster. As you watch this battle back here, Jason Leffler had such a great top 5 finish here back in April. He's also come from the back of the pack, and Leffler now being shown in the 7th position. Bobby Hamilton Jr. behind him in 8th.
But Jerry, as we watch this battle right now between Leffler and Bobby Hamilton Jr. back up front, Wimmer just ran a 31.06 compared to the leader of a 31.25. And the third place car a 31.40. So, folks, what I'm trying to tell you is that Wimmer's on the move right now. He's running his teammate down in that 2 car, and that 29 Holiday Inn car is flat flying right now.
Andy, when you have team cars like that, how similar, I mean, you worked with the Richard Childress organization, you had team cars and going on there. How similar are the setups? I mean, do you cater to the driver, or if you know you got a good setup, do you put it on all the cars?
Well, you know, a lot of times they will be very similar, but the drivers have different styles. Sometimes their setups may be similar, but they'll have some different, particulars to the setup. But, I've even talked to crew chiefs of teammates that have totally different setups. They might even be, not even in the same world. And then they'll run like they have the same setup. They'll run right together.
I was looking at some of the cars earlier. I was watching the 29 versus the 2 car and versus, the Childress' other cars. And you look at the nose of the car. I know they come out of the same. Take a look at his 29. See, it looks like it's just a little bit difference in air dam height than his partner up front leading the race, Clint Boyer. So
that could just be the shock valve, and these guys may have a different feel that they want to have. And the shock valve in one of these cars might be a little different. The rest of the setup may be the same.
Scott Wimmer has 5 top 10 finishes this year, 3 in the 21 car and 2 in the 29 car he is driving here tonight. Making his 9th start of the year. He's won 5 times, but he has not won a race since July of 2003. That one coming at Pikes Peak. So you think he's hungry? Think he wants to get? He knows this is the opportunity 300 for guys who haven't won, and it's been 4 years since he's been to victory lane.
I'll guarantee you it'll feel like the first win for him if he gets it tonight, because it has been a long time. And Rusty, when you haven't won a race in a long time, boy, you just get hungry. Especially if you've tasted victory, you get hungrier and hungrier when you don't.
Oh man, I'm telling you, you start doubting yourself. Also, you start thinking, you know what? I thought I could drive these cars. Maybe I can't. I know when I was going for my 50th victory, heck, I bet I went 40-some straight races without victory lane, and I wasn't used to that. And finally that 50th come, and I thought, hey, I'm the man again, But then 51 was harder to get again, and so, let me tell you, when you get a victory, you got to cherish it.
All right, we are about 11 or 12 laps away from pit stops, and Scott Wimmer just sails by the 2 of Clint Boyer and just made the pass look very easy.
He's running like 0.3 of a second faster than Boyer that last lap, Jerry. That's big time. It's like they got Boyer tied to the stump, and he was leading the race. Wimmer just shot on by. So, whatever they've done in that 29 car, they got that thing hooked. That's for sure.
I'll show you a moment ago here. He was catching him, but he was hanging back about 4 car lengths, and then watch suddenly just like he just came like he was shot out of a cannon coming out of the corner.
Yeah, and I think you heard him holler out the window, "Adios amigos, baby, I'm going, man."
Yeah, when you got a car that's that much faster than the other guys like this, Clint Boyer saw him coming. He just let him have it because there's no sense trying to put up a fight right now this early in the race.
Well, Scott Wimmer becomes our 3rd different leader here at Nashville Superspeedway tonight. Music City, USA. And the young man from Wisconsin is showing the way. Back in a moment.
The Federated Auto Parts 300 ongoing for the NASCAR Busch Series here at Nashville Superspeedway. Our Castrol GTX lap leaders. Clint Boyer has spent most of the race out in front after going by Stephen Wallace at lap number 7. But now Scott Wimmer pacing the field as we get close to the first pit stops. You see the sun beginning to set behind the main grandstand. Now part of the track in shade, part of the track in sun. And Tim Brewer, when we see these first pit stops, you're going to see a lot of wrenches flying like you're going to have on our Chevy Cutaway car, huh?
Tell you what, Alan, like you said earlier, this thing's my friend. Temperature sensitive, air pressure. We're going to be adjusting air pressure in those tires. Hey, we're going to be putting some tape on the front of these cars right in this area. Temperature's coming down. Maybe you put a little bit more tape on here, a little bit more downforce. Get that thing stick down in the middle of the corner a little bit better. Roll through there a lot freer. Back up there.
All right, thank you, Tim. That's why Tim Brewer and you, Andy, were such great crew chiefs and won those championships with Kel Yarborough and Darrell Waltrip and you with Earnhardt. You're always thinking about little things you can do and how the weather and the heat affects the racetrack.
Yeah, you're just looking for an opportunity to get your hands on the car. These guys have been under green now for almost 60 laps, and these guys are just itching to get their hands on it where they can work on it. They've been changing the pressure in the tires so they're ready there, and if they need to, they're going to go over there with those wedge wrenches and change those track bar heights and some of those jack screws and get these cars tuned up.
Well, you know that the drivers are talking to the crew chiefs, and the crew chiefs are talking back saying, what do you need? What can we help you with to make the car handle better? And he's saying, well, I'm probably a little loose, or I'm a little tight. But I got a feeling what everybody's saying right now is, hey, my car's getting tight. And that's where you got to start keeping up with the racetrack, because as the sun comes down and this track cools off, these cars are going to get tighter and tighter. So what do? Little air pressure out of the right front, some in the right rear, things like that.
A lot of guys have already built that into their setup. They actually started with maybe a couple pounds more in the right front tire than they actually need, so they can let some of that out as the race goes on, and they can keep up with the racetrack.
And NASCAR has a minimum right front tire pressure you can run, and at this racetrack it's 40 pounds. Now, so I talked to a couple of teams down there that had 41 and some of them with 42, just so they actually have some room to drop those pressures down.
Exactly. They can work their setup around that higher pressure, and then when the sun goes down, they let that pressure out, makes their car handle a lot better.
That two-car of Clint Boyer, who led the middle portion of the race, having trouble keeping up because Scott Wimmer, guys, is 0.3 of a second quicker. That 29 car right there is 0.3 of a second quicker than the second place car there, the two-car of Clint Boyer.
Yeah, you know, these other guys got to get to work on their cars. That 29 car he's picking them up and putting them down right now.
You know, I saw some cars starting to peel off on pit road. The 88 car is Shane Huffman, he's on pit road. The 21 car, Timothy Peters, he's on pit road. But Andy, we're lap 62 right now. We're thinking maybe these guys can run 70, 75 laps before they're going to start hitting pit road for their judgments.
Let's check in with Jamie in the Timothy Peters pits.
Oh, we talked about him earlier. He just came in for his pit stop, 4 tires, full fuel. It was a clean stop, but a bit longer than the team would like.
Here's the 20 car coming down pit road, Eric Almirola. He's down. Let's head down to you, Mike.
And Doc, his biggest concern is finding some grip in the middle of the turn. Could also use a little help on exit. They're going to go up a half round on the track bar, make an air pressure adjustment. Also 4 tires and fuel. They stretch that fuel to the absolute limit before coming down pit road.
You guys talked about tire pressure adjustments. Here comes the 4 car of Regan Smith on the pit road, who was the 3rd place car. And a car spinning into the grass, and that will bring out the caution flag. And not as yet, they have not signaled the yellow to come out. They're trying to see if they can get it refired, and now the yellow will be waved by Kevin Moss.
Clear, yellow is out. Yellow is out.
You know, this pit road is real slick. They come off the racetrack, off that concrete, Andy, right on down the asphalt. These guys are getting real loose. They're losing it, sliding around. We saw a lot of smoke off the tires, saw a lot of problems. And, boy, I tell you what, that's been a nightmare. You see David Green has spun the 92 car. Bobby Santos, spun that car out and landed in the grass. I'm glad he didn't slide back up in the track, Jerry.
Yeah, Bobby Santos making only his 2nd ever Busch Series start. First time he's ever come here, and he just broadsides it. Exactly what you said, Rusty, trying to get on the pit road and ends up in the grass. Fortunately, he stayed in the grass and not on the racetrack.
I saw another car have a little trouble trying to get on pit road a while ago, too, so he wasn't the only one. Some of these guys have been locking it up, really struggling. You go off of that concrete surface down onto that asphalt, and you lose all the banking. So these guys have, you know, they're just their first pit stop under green, and they just weren't ready for it.
Andy, I tell you what, I saw about 6 cars getting ready to come down pit road, and when that car spun, they all shot up in the racetrack, all by 5 or 6, and boy, they just got a Christmas present just then.
It was a terrible break for some of these other guys that had just pitted.
Yeah, Regan
21
Smith
and 88 guys were on pit road.
Yeah, Regan Smith had just been on pit road. He was a 3rd place car. He was just entering his pits when this yellow came out here, so he has made his pit stop.
Jerry, what we got to watch for right now, these guys are just getting ready to hit pit road because they're running low on fuel. Now they're out of fuel. The caution flag's still out. They're up in the banking in this racetrack, Andy, and that fuel is running away from the right rear corner of the gas tank, and that's something you got to be concerned about.
Yeah, I'm a crew chief. I tell these guys just to get down on the flat. If we're really close on fuel, I'll say, hey, run under caution, get down on the flat of the track, stay off the banking, and it'll help feed that pickup.
All right, that makes Robert Richardson Jr. the Aaron's Lucky Dog Free Pass Award winner. He was the first driver 1 lap down, and now gets to get back on the lead lap in that 28 car that the Chevy he's driving here tonight. We are under caution for the 2nd time tonight. This one coming out due to trouble getting on the pit road. Coming out of turn 4, Bobby Santos' car finally stalling in the grass, and what's brought out the yellow hanky here. And now the leaders will be able to make some significant changes here under the caution as we have 15 cars on the lead lap.
And that's how bad it hurt those guys. We had a lot more cars on the lead lap, and by everybody hitting down pit road and this caution flag coming at absolutely the wrong time for everybody, 15 cars, that's it.
Yeah, it's going to jumble the field. You're going to have a lot of guys trying to get a lap back. And on this restart, you'll have double file and a lot of fast cars down on the bottom.
Yeah, among those cars that were running really, really well, and I think the biggest loser there would have been Regan Smith, who was running third, is now being shown in 18th position, a lap down, and he will really have to hustle that car to be able to get that lap back.
One thing we'll see on this restart is probably the leader will not be the guy that takes the green flag out front. Some of these guys that just pitted will stay on the racetrack, and then these leaders will actually have to line up behind them on the restart, because those other guys will then be technically on the lead lap after the other guys pit.
I've got to believe the next time by they'll wave the green to come down pit road. Right now the pit road's closed. They've been out there for a couple laps right now with the pit road closed, and I will tell you, those drivers are concerned about running field. Now let's look down in the flat. We see some cars. We got Carl Edwards down in the flat trying to save some fuel. Bobby Hamilton Jr. is down there right now. These guys are concerned about running out of fuel.
All right, we'd like to correct the lucky dog actually goes to the 59 car, Marcus Ambrose. And there's a look at Marcus Ambrose. He was actually the first car a lap down when the yellow flag came out. And so he will be able to get back on the lead lap. And so he's our lucky dog, Aaron's Lucky Dog Free Pass Award winner. So he does indeed catch a break.
I call him the lucky dog.
Lucky dog. And kangaroo meat and other things.
Upon further review.
Yeah. And coming off that career best finish last week at Dover, Delaware, hard to find a guy with a better overall attitude than Marcus Ambrose. Always smiling, always excited about just being here.
You'd never see him without a smile.
Okay, the green flag's waving right now for the entrance of pit road. Got a whole fleet of them coming down pit road.
Here they come at 45 miles an hour, and they're headed down to the pits. Let's check in first with Shannon.
Scott Wimmer pulled that 29 car to his pit stall. He qualified for this race 9th. His car was a little bit loose, a little bit free. It says it has come to him. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment in the left rear. Fuel and 4 stickers. And they're off. Mike.
Just before the caution came out, a pretty good heads-up move by Stephen Light. He was headed down pit road under green flag conditions. When the yellow came out, he diverted. It saved him a lot of real estate on the racetrack. Car just a little bit tight. They'll make a wedge adjustment and an air pressure adjustment. Jamie.
And Cliff Boyer's team applauded when the yellow came out. It was just in time. He said his car is tight in the center, so they went up on that track bar, made a small air pressure adjustment on the left sides. It was a clean stop in. Cliff Boyer's out and away.
All right, great pit work by Clint Boyer's bunch, 15.9 seconds. And good effort by Stephen Light's bunch as well. And how about the guy wearing our crew cam? The jack man for Stephen Wallace, Wade Luxon. Let's watch him work as he gets 4 tires changed on the Dodge of Stephen Wallace. And back at Nashville Superspeedway, under caution for the second time today. Troubles up in turn 4. Bobby Santos' car spins coming on the pit road, brings out the yellow, and everyone has been on and off for their routine pit stops as they get set to take the green. Let's listen in as we go full throttle.
Car off. Be ready. Ready. Green flag, green flag. Coming back on you. Clear. Be careful with that next car, you know what I mean. Clear. Outside half, quarter clear. Good job. 3 wide. Inside, still 3 wide. Clear. Nice job, buddy. Nice job. Still out there. Clear. Still out there? Clear. Clear. Clear by 2. Good job. Nice job. Great job.
And Clint Boyer leads him around with Scott Wimmer, Jason Lefter, Carl Edwards, and give a call to Jason Keller in the 11 car. He has come all the way from 17 starting spot, and Andy on that restart, he just set sail.
I tell you what, he went to that outside groove and started passing him. I'm telling you, this guy's on it tonight.
When that restart, Eric Alamarello was at the tail end of the lead lap, guys, and he's trying to hold on. He lost it. I'm afraid he's a lap down right now. But he's the first guy that gets a lucky dog if the caution comes out right now.
There's Jason Keller, by the way, 405th career start. He has 11 poles, 10 wins. He has run this race 11 different times, and he's always had almost a top 10 finish. Whoa! Gets up and almost gets into J.J. Yaley coming off the corner.
Yeah, he lost that thing a little bit, got up inside J.J. there, and didn't touch. But, boy, I was waiting for that arrow loose to take over then. That's when the driver on the inside gets loose, and he starts to spin up into the guy that we see all the time. And outside coming off those cars, Andy.
Yeah, that 11 car is a standalone Busch team. running against these guys without any Nextel Cup affiliation. These guys are doing a great job. Just a brand new team to come in here and do this. I know they got a veteran driver, Jason Keller, but this is very impressive what they've done so far.
He's almost won this race 3 different times. In fact, he led 100 laps here back in 2002. Let's check in on his pits with Jamie Little.
Well, Doc, I'm really surprised at how well he's running right now. His team came to me about 20 laps in and said all of our pressures are up. Oil pressure, water pressure. They're worried that the car is going to blow up, so we were keeping an eye on him, only to see him make a move all the way up to 6th now. He's not complaining about those temperatures anymore. Miraculously, the car is great right now for Jason Keller.
Also behind him, a very good run for the 33 car. Give a call to Cale Gale, driving for Kevin Harvick Incorporated, as he's fending off the 6th car of David Reagan. That is for position. That would be for the 7th spot.
These guys got a good race going on right here. The 6th car had a little momentum coming off of turn 4 now and drives underneath Jason Keller.
Well, I tell you what, Cale Gale just came off of turn 4, trying to get alongside the 11 car on the left side. Almost, or Keller, I mean, it almost ran out of room. He got awful close to that wall, Andy.
Good tight race. I love this racetrack.
David Reagan, pole sitter at Texas back in April, driving for Roush Fenway, almost fender to fender on the inside, hugs that bottom groove, and will be able to almost, well, now he does indeed clear Jason Keller. And here comes Cale Gale as he tries to make the move. We're checking his pits with Jamie.
Well, guys, Cale Gale, just his 2nd appearance for KHI, his 2nd appearance this season. Now, what's great about Cale Gale, the guy grew up in a race shop. He built his own shocks for this race car. Their shock specialist is actually at his daughter's graduation. So Cale Gale built his own shocks, and he's keeping an eye on it. He's in the shop all during the week. He just wants to show what he's made of, show what he's capable of. His last time running here was in this same car. He was running 12th only to be taken out. So, guys, I think he's looking for a little redemption.
I tell you what, Jamie, I love a guy that works on his car, understands it, knows what shocks, springs, air pressures. Andy, I call it a driver that gets in the car ready, understands that car. I think guys that don't understand the cars or get inconsistent, unless you got really good crew chiefs that have been with you for a long time.
And I tell you, when you got a driver that knows a lot about a car, it makes it a lot easier for the crew chief, too, because they can kind of speak the same language.
And Bobby Hamilton is the local favorite. A lot of people came tonight hoping to watch Bobby get his first win here. Let's check in his pits with Shannon.
That's right, Bobby Hamilton Jr. still searching for his first win here at Nashville. Under that last caution, they had to come down pit road for a 2nd time because the car is overheating. They removed some tape from the grill. They went back out 15th, and Bobby has now moved up to 13th. So moving through the field. Doc?
Bobby, 2 top 10 finishes this year. His best run of the year came here at Nashville, where he finished 9th back in April, finished 10th at Dover last week. This team, Andy Petrie, really starting to show some momentum here the last couple of weeks. Not only the fact that they're finishing well, but they're running well throughout the race.
They are, and Bobby Hamilton Jr. knows how to win. He's won these Busch races, actually driving for this same team a few years ago, and they just want to get back. They're hungry to get back to what the winning ways that they were used to before, and they're making some strides on it. Their car's starting to look better and better.
You know, I'm watching the 35 car guys in the corners. It gets the air dam gets down on the front of it, but the straightaways, it's way up, Andy. It's like the car doesn't have enough rear spring to hold the front end down, or not enough rebound in the front shocks to hold it down. But he's got a pretty good handling car. He's definitely not as fast as the leaders. He's hanging in there, but boy, you know, I love looking at the differences between all these different cars. And I'll tell you, they're all different what the front of that car does.
Yeah, a lot of guys have a different feel they want to have, and some of them don't like those cars held down really hard in the front end, and that's probably the way Bobby Jr. is.
Well, the locals love pulling for Bobby Hamilton Jr. on the racetrack, and they love supporting him off the track by going over and visiting at one of his favorite hangouts, his restaurant, called Just Junior's.
It's Junior Sports Bar and Grill. Never was the plan to be a restaurant owner. I was actually looking for buildings and stuff like that, and all of a sudden wind up with 2 restaurants. You know, just entertainment. And this is what this sport is, entertainment. It's, you want to provide something good for the fans, it's like they're going to provide something good for you guys when you come down there.
Well, the IndyCar Series season heats up as Dan Weldon and Danica Patrick return to Texas for a showdown under the lights. the Bombardier Learjet IndyCar 550K at Texas on ESPN2 tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern time. For more, log on to ESPN.com. And by the way, and qualifying, congratulations to Scott Sharp, the Ray Hall Letterman car on the pole, alongside last year's Indy 500 winner Sam Hornish. Danica Patrick will start back in 6th, and Dan Weldon starts 10th, driving for the Target Ganassi Racing team. Live coverage coming your way at 10 o'clock Eastern time.
Marty, I tell you what, you talked about that. I called the Indy 500 a couple weeks ago with Marty Reed and Scott Goodyear. If you've never seen a race in Texas, buddy, they're running like 230 in those straightaways, wheel to wheel. I'm telling you, it's one of the most exciting races you're ever going to see in your life.
And Danica's fired up, and Dan's not going to take any more pushing and shoving. And Scott Sharp is hungry at a place that he has done awfully well and has a great history at Texas Motor Speedway. Well, Clint Boyer is our leader. Scott Wimmer now starting to reel him in a little bit here as that car seems to be getting better and better. As Andy Petrie was talking about a moment ago during our commercial break, we'll update what's going on with Wimmer. But how about the 99 car? There's the 11 car and the 21. The 99 car of David Rudeman was involved in the very first caution flag of the evening on lap 1. His car ended up sailing through the grass. He had to go all the way back to the back of the pack. And guys, now he is driven into the top 10 as we check in his pits with Mike.
Well, as you guys in the booth know, to win these races, sometimes you got to catch some breaks. And that last caution may have allowed David Rudeman to dodge a bit of a bullet. When the yellow flag came out, he started to feel a bit of vibration. Take a look at his left front tire here. Easy for me to say, right? You can see right here that he had a loose lug nut. Because of that, the vibration from the studs in the wheel began to make the holes in the wheel not round but oval. That created a vibration. They were able to save it, came down pit road, changed 4 tires, and they're still running inside the top 10. Guys?
And that is about the 4th or 5th car since Charlotte just a few weeks ago that we have seen have problems with the wheels loosening up in the race.
Yeah, but this is one of the teams that had to pit. Now, when they had that crash earlier, they came down pit road, and they had to put another set of tires on the car. As a matter of fact, I could hear them on the radio talking, hey, we hope this thing goes green for a while, because if it doesn't, we'll end up being 1 set of tires short, because NASCAR limits these teams on how many sets of tires they can use during the event.
You know, we were scanning the 90 car of Stephen Light and 99 of David Rudeman a little while ago. And they were getting killed with I mean, they were screaming on that radio. Who was the most mad on that one, Andy? Who was complaining the most?
Well, they were just racing each other real hard. The 90 car was trying to pass the 99 car right here in the front straightaway, and Stephen Light in the 90 went down on the apron and all the way down on the flat. I think they were saying, hey, man, let's just chill out here a little bit.
Well, both those drivers, the 99 of Rudeman and the 90 of Light, both achieved their best finishes of the year right here at Nashville back in April. Rudeman finished 2nd, and Stephen Light brought that 90 car home with an 8th place finish.
Well, Rudeman wisely said, I'm not going to let this kid rough me up. I'm just going to let him go on by. I'll tuck in behind him, see what kind of hot rod he's got, make sure I can get my car handling right. This is too early in the race to get in an argument on the racetrack right now.
Then I'll be back to see you when it counts.
That's right. Yeah, remember me, baby, here I come. So.
Yeah, there's a time to fight and there's a time to watch, huh?
Hey, you know, Jerry, I want to go back to this lug nut problem. You know, I got a feeling something's starting to brew amongst these teams with these loose lug nuts. I guarantee you, after this race is over, and even in the NASCAR Nextel Cup cars, all those cats up at Pocono right now watching our broadcast, something happening. They're going to have to start paying more attention to, you know, maintaining their wheels, getting their lug nuts seated better, stuff like that, because every now and then, Andy, as you know, in this sport, something ugly will raise its head and cause a problem. And it looks like this could be just on the edge of starting this problem now.
Yeah, we're seeing too many of them. Too many loose wheels, and the ones that really concern me are the ones that are loose before they make a pit stop. I understand, and we see here we got the 2 car and the 29 car getting ready to have a battle for the lead. But I understand if the you know, these guys under competition on pit road trying to change the tire a little bit too fast, don't get the thing quite tight enough. I can see those wheels sometimes coming loose, but the ones that concern me are the ones that are loose right off the bat before they even make a pit stop.
All right, Scott Wimmer, who just like we saw early in the race, says the longer we run, the better that 29 car gets, and he was about 2.5 seconds back, and now he's just 4/10 behind Boyer, and he is 2/10 quicker a lap than the leader, Clint Boyer. So about 3 laps from now, we're going to have a battle up here for the lead if Wimmer continues to climb the way he has done.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, these Childers cars, they've got one car that's got a good short run set up, I'll call it, with the 2 car able to go really good right out of the start on the green. And the 29 car is good in the long run, so he's kind of got his bases covered. If the thing goes a lot of short runs, he's got one car that can win that way. He's got another one that can win if it goes long.
How about a bunch of 6s here? The 6 car of David Reagan making a pass on Stephen Wallace, our pole sitter, and Stephen's been hanging right there in the top 5, and Reagan makes the pass and shoves Stephen back to 6th position. So a lot of young drivers trying to, we talked about this being the opportunity 300, maybe trying to get their first win. These guys certainly hoping they can. Now both of these guys here, though, Boyer and Wimmer, have won races, although it has been a while for Scott Wimmer. And now it seems that Clint Boyer has stabilized that lead just momentarily.
You know, Jerry, back to your opportunity 300. You can't make any mistakes in order to take advantage of that opportunity. And, you know, midway in the race, Andy, it seems like that's where the mistakes start to happen. They've got to get their fuel mileage figured out, get these lug nuts tight, get themselves into position, keep that track position so they can race these guys at the end.
You got to get to the end to be able to take advantage of it. And so these guys are just going to have to, like I say, hit their marks on pit road, on the racetrack. Make sure you don't have any problems with hitting people with the fenders. And, you know, you'll have a shot to win at the end.
You talk about some stupid things, problems can happen. You know, loose lug nuts, a jack drop too quick, a driver coming down pit road, speeding down pit road, and losing everything that he's worked to gain all through the day. As a spotter on top of the track, that's what you got to be doing, is helping your guy not make mistakes like that.
All right, the interval is stabilized between Boyer and Wimmer. We have 125 laps to go. It is Boyer, Wimmer, Edwards, Leffler, and David Reagan in the top 5. Back with more live NASCAR Busch Series racing in a moment.
NASCAR Busch Series, Nashville Superspeedway approaching halfway, and a new leader, Scott Wimmer in the 29, has just gone around his Childers teammate, Clint Boyer, in the 2 just about 1 lap ago.
Boy, he really is. Look at this nice move as he comes up off the corner. I told you this guy was going to be hunting.
Yeah,
that clean air out front. Nice move. Clint Boyer gives him plenty of room because Scott Wimmer's so fast.
Seen it a couple times in the race. After 20 laps or so on a set of tires, Wimmer gets faster than Boyer, and now he is out in front. Let's take a look at our Holiday and Race recap. Some of the race highlights so far. Started off the evening here in Nashville, remembering the leader of the sport who we lost earlier in the week.
Yeah, in honor of the memory of Bill France Jr., the teams are displaying armbands as well as decals, and it's all in remembrance of the great Bill France Jr.
Got the race started, and on the very first lap, turn 4, Kyle Krisaloff in the light blue car, Curtis Davis, silver and black. Oops, that's not good. They clipped David Rudeman there in the 99 as well. Another look at it here from the grass cam. Isn't that cool?
That is very cool.
I like the shot.
I know Clint Boyer comes in from Pocono, jumps in his hot rod and goes out, and he has led a lot of laps running up front. Still continues to be up near the front. Looking for 3rd win of the season for Clint Boyer.
Boyer has led 81 of the 108 laps we've run so far, but right now runs second to the man driving that car, Scott Wimmer. Let's get out of pit road, take you up to speed. We start with Shannon Spake.
Your race leader, Scott Wimmer, made very few adjustments on that first pit stop, just a small air pressure adjustment, but he has been fighting a free car. It's still free. Told his crew chief that next time they come down pit road, they may need to make a little bit of a track car adjustment. Now, Scott Wimmer said he's pretty happy to be back in that 29 car. It's been 3 weeks since he's been behind the wheel. These are the guys he feels comfortable with. He spends most of the time testing with this crew. Jamie?
Clint Boyer has not run outside the top 2 all day. He had a great pit stop, one of the quickest ones we've seen all day. He's doing his job on the track, and his crew is doing their job, and we have a caution on the track. Guys?
All right, thank you, Jamie. We are under caution for the 3rd time today here at Nashville Superspeedway, as the yellow flag being waved by Kevin Moss, and there is the fire and flame
back here, Marcus.
pouring from beneath the Kingsford charcoal car.
Flame, stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right.
Talk about a barbecue. Holy smokes, the Kingsford's car? Kind of.
Yeah, he's trying to stop it and tell him to stop
right
and get out of there. Get out of there, Marcus. And there are the NASCAR safety officials with the fire extinguishers right away.
Yeah, he was real smart to pull up right by that safety vehicle, knowing there would be fire extinguishers there to put the fire out. Good heads-up move by Marcus Ambrose.
That car just, it looks like it broke a connecting rod or something like that, because it just blew everything out the oil pan. Major malfunction in the oil pan of that car, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely some fluids getting on the headers and causing a major fire.
And Marcus Ambrose, a coming off his career best finish last week at Dover, Delaware, has the night end go up in smoke here at Nashville Superspeedway as the co-leader in the Robustus Rookie of the Year standings quickly comes out and seems none the worse for wear, thanks to some quick thinking on his part and to those guys there with the fire extinguishers. Well, our lucky dog during this caution flag goes to Eric Almirola. Joe Gibbs' car, the Rockwell Automation Chevy, is the first driver 1 lap down, and now we'll get back on the lead lap, and that will put us with 16 cars on the lead lap. And let's see if we can see what happened here to bring out this caution flag and see where it all began, looking back from Greg Biffle's onboard camera.
Blowing up behind you, keep digging. He's the one back on the bottom. He blew up. Caution's out. Caution's out.
I tell you what, he did a heck of a job getting ready to pit. Now here comes on pit road at 29 Wimmers in.
Let's check in with Shannon.
That's right. Last pit stop, Scott Wimmer took out a little air. They're now going to put that air back in. They're going to lower that track bar just a half a round, and they're putting scuffs on the tires this time. Mike?
Stephen Light's crew chief, Cully Barraclaw, coming over the radio, ordering his team, telling them they're coming in P8 and expects them to come out at least P6. They're a little snug in the center. They're going to make a 4-tire change and a wedge adjustment. Jamie.
Clint Boyer a little tight as well in that 2 car. He comes in. 4 tires are going to go up on that track bar. Dan Deeringhoff asked him, how's your windshield? And Clint said, it's good. I adjusted it and cleaned it myself, whatever that means.
All right, we'll watch the race off pit road, and great pit stop by Clint Boyer's bunch. They were the quickest of those 3 leaders we saw, and you see Boyer, by virtue of that good pit stop, will gain a spot. Edwards gains 1 spot. Wimmer loses 2. Good stop for the 90 crew as well, as you see there. But how about Todd Cleaver's Roush bunch, up 7 positions? As we are under caution for the 3rd time, back with the green in a moment. Back at Nashville Superspeedway, it took a superhuman effort for Carl Edwards to get here all the way from Pocono, Pennsylvania, just prior to qualifying. Had to run to the NASCAR truck, turn around, and just dash down pit road. He was the 4th car to go out to qualify, and guess what, guys? He had not sat in that car, but qualified at 7th quickest, and now is running one heck of a race here as we check in with him as our in-race reporter.
Carl Edwards, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us? Carl, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us?
Yeah, I got you, Rusty.
Hey, you're running 2nd place right now, buddy. How long did it take you to get the car handling the way you wanted to get that thing up front?
Well, PK and the guys are still working on it. It's real touchy here. You know, it's a little bit tight in the center, pretty loose off. But I think I got old Clint nervous up here. It's going to be a fun race. I don't know if we're fast enough to catch him. But if you talk to him, tell him I think I am.
Have you had to make many adjustments to the car to get it where you want? I mean, what are most of the things you've done? Has it been tire pressure settings, track bar, or what do you work on the car?
Yeah, first thing we did was some wedge, and I don't know if I can stand much more of that off the corner. So we're trying some tire stuff, track bar stuff, just the standard stuff. But I mean, you know how it is. Yeah, you never know what it's going to do until you try it. We don't get many shots at it here in the Busch Series. We might only get 1 more shot, I guess.
All right, buddy. Thanks for talking to us. I tell you what, congratulations on Eldora. That was a heck of a race you had.
Yeah, that was a blast, man. Thanks a lot. This is going to be a good race here.
All right. Here is the, on Wednesday night, what they call the Prelude to the Dream, the half-mile Eldora Speedway in Rossburg, Ohio. That, by the way, is Bill Elliott, who was upside down, and he would climb out of the car, jump on the car, to the delight of the fans. There's Tony Stewart to help him. And this is the finish. What a great effort. Carl Edwards in the 99 takes the win, and closely pursued by Jeff Gordon and Kyle Busch. Great crowd on hand as Carl Edwards celebrates the win on the dirt in Eldora on Wednesday night. He runs 2nd right now here in Nashville, Tennessee. He'll head to Pocono tomorrow. We'll see if he can hang on and possibly get the lead when we come back.
This ESPN telecast of the NASCAR Busch Series at Nashville is available in high definition on ESPN2 HD, presented by Vizio. Just past halfway and coming to a restart. Clint Boyer's out front, but now it's Carl Edwards who's chasing him down. We go full throttle.
Straight flag. Inside corner. Still there. Go inside. Inside. Clear low. Clear low. First user about 3 if you need to, buddy. Just work the high side and let him go. Hit your marks. Find that rhythm. Run with you. Look inside.
down, having led 3 times now for 89 laps with Carl Edwards in hot pursuit there in the 60 car.
I'll tell you what, those restarts were tough, Jerry. I mean, they were 3 wide coming out of that back straightaway. Now they're starting to get single file, but they're still racing pretty hard in the middle of the pack.
Boyer the leader. There's Edwards in second. Wimmer, Scott Wimmer, the 29 car, moves in as the laps, as the temperature comes up on the tires. There's Wimmer back in the 29 car. Jason Leffler, who had such a great run here back in April, finishing 3rd. He is now becoming a factor there in the Great Clips Toyota.
So right now we got turns 3 and 4 completely shaded. The sun's down behind the grandstands here, all of the front straightaway. And Andy, we just got just a little bit of sun on the back straightaway, but the corners, hey, they're cooling down.
Yeah, the track's going through that transition phase from day to night, and right in here is where these guys need to really be paying attention which way their car's going. But I'll tell you what, they don't want to let this, 60 crew and PK work on their car, get their hands on this car too many times, because every time they touch it, they make it better. We see him right here putting some pressure on Clint Boyer in the 2 car. Won't be long, he'll be leading this race.
Now, he told Rusty Wallace a moment ago that he was tight in the center and loose off, and he had made some significant adjustments early on with the wedge. I don't think I can stand any more of that. Why was he saying that?
Well, some of the time, if he's talking about he's loose in and tied off, you don't want to get the thing right on the ragged edge one way or the other. So, he says, well, here it goes, going for the lead. Whichever bolt they turn, let's just say he turned it the right way.
All right, okay. And indeed, he will take the lead here on lap 122. Carl Edwards, who, by the way, not only won here in April, he won this race a year ago, so he has won 2 in a row here. And in those 2 races combined, he led 198 total laps. He is now leading his first lap here tonight.
Regan Smith in the 4 car had just passed these guys, though. He's out in front. You can just see that in that last shot. He's pulled away from these guys a little bit to get back on the lead lap. He made an unscheduled pit stop earlier. It's had him kind of mired back in there. Right here he is in position to get his lap back.
Andy, you called it just a little while ago. You said if the 60 car gets his hands on adjusting that car, and he did that last time. This car works up the track a little bit right there, got a little loose or something, but, this guy drives a really loose car. We were down in the pit road before they qualified, and most of the cars dropped the track bar all the way down for qualifying in the Busch Series because of the impound rules. Carl Edwards didn't move his track bar at all. He was the only guy on pit road that didn't move the track bar, what led me to believe that, man, this guy can drive a loose car.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. He drives his car extremely hard, and that's great for a crew because the harder you drive the car, the more problems you can expose and work on and adjust on. And that's one thing Carl does. He gets 100% out of that car all the time.
You talk about what a talent these guys are. Here's a guy we've already showed you. He won on dirt Wednesday night in Rossburg, Ohio. He's trying to win on concrete tonight in a NASCAR Busch Series car. And he'll go back to Pocono and try to win on the asphalt at the unique Pocono Raceway, the Triangular Racetrack, on Sunday. And Jason Leffler, we talked about this might be a night where Toyota finally gets their first NASCAR Busch Series win. They finished 2nd, 3rd, and 4th here in April, and Leffler was one of those 3 cars in the top 5. And we talked to Jason Leffler about the possibilities of Toyota, their history, and the possibilities of running well here at Nashville Superspeedway.
I run good here, as a driver. It's just it's a really neat place to, to have my first Busch win come here. I always have a lot of momentum coming into this track, and so as a team, as a whole, we got a great package, and we'd love to be the first guys to bring Toyota their first win. That's what we're working hard to do.
And Jason Leffler is indeed one of those 6 drivers who collected their very first NASCAR Busch Series win here. His came in June of 2004 in his 56th start. And he loves this racetrack, and obviously it's showing because he moved all the way up into the top 10 right away and is now the highest he has been today, being shown in 4th position.
I tell you, this particular team has been strong throughout the year and last year. When they switched to Toyotas, it seems like the power was a little better than they ever had last year. They're running better. The cars are handling pretty doggone good. I would say that if they're going to get a victory, Leffler's probably going to be the guy. If not Blaney's going to get it for him first.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time before Toyota wins a race. And each one of those teams wants to be the team that gets them their first win. That's got to be a feather in their hat.
As you look at Jason Leffler, we'll tell you that one of the up-and-coming drivers we thought might have a shot at getting his first win tonight had to call it a night, and he's now standing with Mike Massaro.
And, Doc, that's Marcus Ambrose. He certainly had a hot rod, but certainly not the hot he wanted. What was it like inside that car when that thing blew up?
It's just like showing a shrimp on the barbie, wasn't it?
I blew up into one and just tried not to spin out my own oil through 1 and 2, thinking, oh, my night's done, just cruising back in, all of a sudden flames are coming everywhere. Not too much came in the cockpit, but there was plenty of flames in the motor bay, and I just pulled off and got out of there as quick as I could.
Well, a tough break for Marcus Ambrose, coming off a career-best 6th place finish in Dover.
And he came in tied atop the Bestest Rookie of the Year point standings with David Reagan. Reagan, though, having a really good run here tonight in the 6 car, showing in the top 15. Well, less than 100 laps to go here at Nashville Superspeedway. He came from Pocono by helicopter, qualified the car, and now is our leader here at Nashville. Back with more in just a moment. Well, back in Nashville Superspeedway, the 18 car of Kevin Conway, the Z-Line Designs machine on pit road, under caution here for the 4th time today. And the 20 car also involved. I'll show you what happened here up in turn 4.
Looks like the 18 car just slid up a little bit, got in the left rear of the 41, and it just, man, he hit that wall pretty hard. Got some damage there.
Looks like he lost that front end, like you were saying. Got up in there, and boy, tried to pull that baby down and keep it off the 41, and that rear end kicked out, and he was a passenger at that point.
Now watch his teammate just slow sliding by. That's Eric Almirola. Almirola was on the lead lap, showing in 14th position, and Conway was actually just 1 lap down, showing in the 19th or 20th spot. Well, they pitted on lap 114, Andy, 25 laps ago. Pit road is going to be open here in a momentarily. Do you pit?
Yeah, it's going to be kind of, I guarantee these guys are really talking on the radio. We see Carl Edwards dive down on pit road. The 29 car stays out, so you're going to have them split.
All right, they come down pit road. Carl Edwards comes down at 45 miles an hour, headed to you, Jamie Little.
That's right. Well, he just came on the radio and asked PK, is anybody else going to try to make it to the end? And he said, I'm not sure, but we cannot make it to the end. Come on down. So he's coming in. They're going to make, they're going to take some wedge out of that left rear to tighten him up just a bit. Otherwise, his car is pretty good. See him come in the 60. Quick stop last time, got him out and away in the front. You see him handing their water bottle there. Take off a tear off that front windshield. And they're good on fuel. 4 tires. And your leader, Carl Edwards, is out and away. Doc?
All right, thank you, Jamie. We'll watch the race off pit road. Bobby Hamilton Jr. there is Carl Edwards. Boyer, you see Cleaver, 4 spots for the Roush crew. And Hamilton Jr. also up by 3 spots. The big question is, can they make it? 88 laps to go to the checkered flag. It's going to be very close. I'm not sure many can. I wonder if any will try. We'll find out when we come back.
Route 66 Raceway on a beautiful day in Chicago. Some big moments like this one for Ashley Force.
Big explosion on the top end. Ashley lifts the car off of the ground at 300 miles per hour. Ashley Force is A-OK.
When we left you, we were wrapping up Top Fuel qualifying. Here is the Top Fuel ladder. Tony Schumacher remained number 1. Doug Coletta remained number 16. That means they'll face one another. Shades of last year's championship in round 1.
And on the other side of the ladder, your number 2 qualifier, Hot Rod Fuller, is going to go against Scott Palmer. And at the bottom there, Red Hot J.R. Todd is going to match up with Joe Hartley.
If you remember, 1 week ago in Funny Car, Mike Ashley took his first career win. But today in qualifying, he didn't get down the track, did not qualify. He's a spectator. The same is true of Robert Height. He had a throttle stop problem that kept him from making one run. He failed to make it back in, and Robert Height, who has never qualified lower than 2nd, is not in. Here's the Funny Car ladder.
Take a look at Gary Selder, your number 1 qualifier, going against Bob Gilbertson. And how about John Force going against his old teammate, Tony Petragon?
Ron Capps will face Wilkerson, Cruz Pedregon, Gary Densham, Kenny Bernstein, and Jeff Arend. And Jack Beckman against Scott Coletta. That's round 1. Don't forget, we'll have coverage of NHRA Race Day tomorrow morning. Find out why Mike Dunn is doing that burnout in a Top Fuel dragster. And then final eliminations at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Pretty sight as the sun sets over Music City and the Nashville Superspeedway under caution for the 4th time, and a little pit strategy going to shuffle up the running order for this restart. Before we go back racing, been talking a lot about a nose plant. It doesn't have to do with me playing hockey. It certainly doesn't have to do with Brad playing basketball. Tim Brewer's at our Chevy Cutaway car. What's it have to do with on a race car, Tim?
Thanks, Alan. What Rusty was talking about a while ago, folks, getting this air down right down here on the racetrack. And our old friend up there, Andy Petrie, he come up with a unique spring package right here. This is what we call a coil binding package. And what that does, folks, when this thing's sitting in here, that's exactly what that spring looks like down there in the middle of the corner. And what that does is let that suspension down. It enables that air dam to get right down on the bottom of the racetrack, make that thing really good right in the middle of the corner. All the downforce makes that driver feel really good. And when Rusty Wallace is feeling good, he's going to the front. Take it away, Rusty.
I tell you what, good explanation there, Tim. You know, you talk about coil bind. We're all about tired of talking about that, aren't we, Andy? Because unless you got the coil bind figured out, you're not good. But coil binding lets the car get down to the front of the ground, puts some more pitch, and the lower that front end is, the more downforce you got, the easier that car is going to go through the air, the more downforce, the better it's going to handle. And that's the goal everybody goes for.
All right, for more information on coil binding, log on to ESPN.com, search word know-how. As we get set for the green flag, the top 3 cars, Scott Wimmer, Jason Leffler, and Jason Keller, did not pit. And they will come down 1, 2, 3 and take the green flag with now 85 laps to go here in Nashville.
It's going to be interesting to see how this works out. See these guys stacking up a little bit on the bottom. These lap cars are kind of making a block for these guys. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out with this strategy, because none of the cars that just pitted can actually make it all the way on fuel. They're probably going to have to make another stop. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how it plays out with these guys up front.
Well, right now they're coming 4 wide off the turn, right off the turn 4 there. I mean, these restarts, Andy, are unbelievable. These guys got these sticker tires on. They got a lot of grip. They're trying to get the passes done as quick as they can. And man, I'll tell you what, it freaks me out up here watching this deal. I want to close my eyes because I'm waiting for them to crash. I mean, it gets very, very volatile looking. Look at this 3 wide haul off into the corner.
Yeah, that clean air is worth so much. These guys can't mess around with these cars. They got to get past them, get out there where they can get their car in some clean air and make some good time.
Saw the 66 car just pass the 2-car Clint Boyer there, picking up another position.
And we are being told the 33 car of Cale Gale, who was the last car on the lead lap, has a left rear tire flat, and he will have to come down pit road for an unscheduled stop.
See that 99 car? I thought I saw him make a little bit of contact when they were racing really hard off of turn 4 a while ago. Kind of light contact, but it's I mean, the second time he's had the right side damaged a little bit.
And we'll show you what happened just a moment ago to Cale Gale here on the restart. As now watch the contact here, left rear, boom.
3 wide, 3 wide.
Well, I tell you what, that'll cut the left rear tire down just about every time.
Inside car got into him, Jared, just blew that tire right out. There's not much Cale Gale could have done. Wasn't his fault, not at all, but he's the one that suffered for it.
Having a good run. Had been up as high as 6th or 7th here early in the afternoon. Was still showing on the lead lap, and that pit stop there will cost him a couple of laps here under green. Well, Scott Wimmer is the leader. He has led 3 times for 32 laps in the 29 car. That car, of course, owned by Richard Childress. Jason Leffler in the Toyota. That's the differential, just over a second between first and second. And Jason Keller back in 3rd spot in the 11 car, having his best run of the year in just 4 starts.
Now, I think these guys up in the top 3 spots are hoping it'll go green for a good while here. So when they do get a chance to make a pit stop under caution, if they get that chance, that they'll have a lot of laps and everybody will be coming in at the same time, and they'll be able to, kind of gets everything back reset. Everybody's on the same page on the pit stop.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're hoping for the caution right now, but you know, that's a nervous time too. You know you don't have as much fuel as the guys behind you, and you're out there running, and you're thinking, man, I need a caution. You know, we're about 80 laps to go right now, and we saw everybody coming down pit road last time around lap 65. So we get about 60 to go, 65 to go, and a caution flag comes out. That's a Mr. Feelgood right there.
They're definitely coming then.
Let me ask you guys, a 16 car here, Todd Cleaver, gained 4 spots on that pit stop. He came in 8th and came out 4th. They opted to go fuel only and no tires. Why do you think?
Well, the tires, they hadn't had that many laps on the tires to start with, and we see the 3 guys that stayed out front are able to get going pretty good. I mean, they're running the best lap times on the board right now. So tires were not that critical. Track position is ultra critical. So they just take some fuel and come back out. And maybe, I guess in their mind they think that they can at least stretch the fuel to as close to the end as possible where they don't have to take much if it goes green. But I don't see them being able to go that many laps. I mean, they're talking about almost 85, 90 laps on fuel. I don't think that's possible.
Well, I will tell you, Jerry, right now, Cleaver just ran a 31.21, 31.21, and the leader just ran a 30.50. So he's given up almost 7/10 of a second on the racetrack, which is quite a bit by not having fresh tires in that car.
Here's a look at the 90 car and the 99. That is Stephen Light in the 90 car, the City Financial. By the way, give a call to Cully Barraclaw, his crew chief. They are having great pit stops tonight for the Robert Yates team in the 90 car.
They're giving this guy a chance to win for sure. And I tell you, that 90 car's been strong too. He's been strong all night.
Yeah, I watched Stephen Light a lot throughout the night, and he's had one of the fastest cars in the field. In fact, Andy, 2 or 3 times I glanced on their monitor, and it showed that he was almost a 1/10 of a second faster than these guys at different points in the race. So Stephen's having a good, solid race and not making any mistakes.
Young man in only his 37th career start, former ASA late model champion. Rusty, you know about running ASA. That's where you came from.
Well, I'll tell you what, myself, Alan Quickie, you know, the late Davey Alice, and a lot of guys like that really got their break. Darrell Walter ran there a lot. In fact, I think a lot of the NASCAR guys, Mark Martin, ran an ASA, and that was a great organization to help teach us a lot, and that's where Stephen Lights came from.
Well, 75 laps to go. And for those of you who just may have joined our coverage, we'll get you caught up with some of the sights and sounds of the evening thus far here in Music City, USA. Final pit stop for today. This could be the money stop. We're under caution for the 5th time. Let's check in with Shannon on pit road.
All right, Scott Wimmer brought that car in. He says he gets a little bit tight behind cars, 4 tires and fuel, and guys, they can make it to the end. Mike?
And that's Jason Keller is in right now, running in the top 3 spot. Todd Gordon, his crew chief, said, bring it on in. I know it's going to shuffle us to the back, but we're in our window. Here's a guy, Jason Keller just told me last week, 2 months ago, he was sitting on his couch watching us, never thinking he'd get this opportunity to race in the Busch Series again, and he's out and away. Doc?
All right, the race off of pit road quickly. They had the Wikima under caution for the 5th time on lap 152. Richard John's car came into contact. The FreeCreditReport.com Ford of Ed Renzi had contact with the wall. And here is Richard John's car still sitting on pit road as he pounds the steering wheel, hoping to get an opportunity to get a good finish here tonight. And here's the reason for the caution flag, the 5th one of the night.
Yeah, looks like a tire went down. Right front.
Looks like the tire went down. Looks like a right front. Clear down. Drop. Clear down.
And nothing he could do about that. And that tire goes down. You're just along for the ride, and they hit that wall and did a lot of damage. They're going to have to go behind the wall and fix this.
And what that caution meant is everyone came on to pit road and made their what should be their final pit stops. You heard Shannon say they can make it the rest of the way on fuel. And let's take a peek and watch Jackman Wade Luxton as he goes to work on the right side of the Home Life Communities Dodge for Stephen Wallace. And we welcome you back to Nashville Superspeedway. We've had 5 caution flags. The leaders have been on pit road as we get set for the green flag now with 69 laps to go. If we stay green, everyone should be able to make it on fuel. And our leader is a 20-year-old Stephen Light who has led only 1 lap all year long, that coming on the road course of Mexico City. He's now being shown as the leader as they come down in turn 4 and get set for the green flag again here at Nashville, Tennessee.
Had a big shuffle of these leaders. A lot of guys just getting gas. Some of them getting 4 tires. Some of these guys have been leading early, got gas. I mean, got tires, and they're back. Setting the stage for a really good race right here.
18 cars on the lead lap. The young man Kelly Byers getting back on the lead lap, subbing for John Wood. He is the last car, the 47 car. As Stephen Light tries to hold off the Toyota of Dane Blaney and the Dodge of Mike Bliss. Whoa, up across the track, the 33 car shoves Clint Boyer all the way up near the wall, and Boyer somehow avoids the contact.
He didn't even break his momentum.
Well, you talk about experienced drivers. Watch the 60, Carl Edwards here on the restart.
I mean, he knows he's got to go right now. He's got himself back in 11th position. He just stays in the throttle, makes it 3 wide down into turn 1, picks off 3 or 4 cars, picks off another one, and stays in the gas 3 wide. And he is color me gone, baby. He is out of there.
I'll tell you what, I'm impressed.
Boy, isn't that pretty to watch? He passed 2 of those guys. He passed for his teammates, David Reagan and Cleaver. As now he is being shown back, the 60 car back in 8th position. For more on Carl Edwards, let's check in with Jamie.
Well, Doc, he is not a happy man right now. He came in, he said, I want rubber, even though they turned, I think, 8 laps on that other set. They took their last set of Goodyears. Now he came in and they dropped a lug on the left rear. That cost him 7 positions exiting pit road. So now you see he is a man possessed and working his way to the front. Mike.
And Cully Barraclough making the call to stay on the racetrack while most of the leaders came in. That puts Stephen Light in the lead, but what's the strategy?
We're a little light on fuel, but the best set of tires we got is on the car right now. So we got a set of scuffs here, but we want to save until the end. It takes us about 10 laps to get going anyway, so we're going to get them out front and run along here and see if we can get some yellows to help us out. If not, later on next yellow, we'll put these tires on and get our way back up there.
As they may need those yellows, they were crunching the numbers to see how close they were, and they are extremely close. Guys?
I'll tell you what, that's pretty good strategy. Looking at these lap times, he's running the fastest lap times of anybody out there right now. Getting that clean air, I'll tell you, that was a really good move. Might turn out to be a real key decision for these guys towards the end.
Well, both the 90 car of Stephen Light and that one of Dave Blaney going by, they stayed out on that pit stop, as did Mike Bliss, and they are running 1st, 2nd, and 4th. And they haven't lost much in terms of the tires right now on the racetrack.
Yeah, the tires seem to be holding up well. And at least it seems like the clean air is worth more than fresh tires. Although Carl Edwards seems to get the most out of his tires no matter where he starts.
Riding along with Clint Boyer back in 3rd position in the 2 car, the 2-time winner this year. He has led 3 times for 91 laps tonight.
Stephen Light's still the fastest car on the racetrack out there out front. These guys having to fight some traffic.
And how about Bobby Hamilton Jr.? He just keeps digging. Had to go back in the pack a couple of times, and now he's getting challenged for 5th position by Regan Smith. And here's a driver. Do you remember at the beginning of tonight's race, Regan Smith was one of the cars that made a pit stop, and then the caution came out, so he was called a lap down. He was able to get back on the lead lap, and now he has driven his way all the way back into 5th position.
Yeah, these guys have worked hard for this tonight. Hadn't been easy. They lost that lap early because of their fuel mileage. Really.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. racing at his home racetrack. He grew up in Mount Juliet, just about 7 miles from here. And he says he really likes it when he gets a chance to race against the Cup Series regulars. And here is Stephen Light.
What it is, guys?
Here is Stephen Light coming on the pit road. And a puff of smoke out of the right side as he gets it down to 45 miles an hour.
It's like a cylinder because it just got a deep vibration and it was real slow, and it started getting sluggish all the way around, worse and worse and worse down the back. I don't.
That's a tough break for these guys.
Open, check the headers.
No, you got to feel for him. I mean, leading a race like that, working the strategy, and all of a sudden he loses an engine. And you don't hardly ever lose an engine with Robert Yates Racing, that's for sure.
And here we got a pass for the lead.
As Clint Boyer tries to move to the inside of Dave Blaney, and he will take the spot away. So Chevy goes back to the point here at Nashville. Toyota is second. Dodge is third. It is Boyer, Blaney, and Bliss with less than 60 laps to go.
Hey, Boyer's going to be hard to beat here. He's one of the fastest cars all night, and he's out in front. These other guys that have been able to challenge him earlier in the race are kind of mired back there, you know, 5th, 6th, 7th place.
Well, these guys are going to have to live in these tires. At least most of them are right now. They're out of their 3 sets of tires that they've got allotted to them. They're in trouble right there if the caution flag comes out. They're just going to have to stay in the track now because everybody can pretty well make it on fuel. And if a caution does come on late in the race, they'll be slip and slide, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's a handful of these guys that have some tires left over or do have another set of tires left to put on. The 60 car is not one of them. They put their last set of tires on that last pit stop. He's got what he's got.
So if we were to get a caution flag, he would not have anywhere to go in terms of tires. There goes the 90 car of Stephen Light, the 20-year-old who led for just the second time this year. He's headed to the garage area with the City Financial Ford of Robert Gates. Clint Boyer trying to get his 3rd win of 2007. He won at Phoenix and Richmond. He has led 4 times for 93 laps. And the driver of the Richard Childress Chevrolet trying to hang on for the final 57.
Riding with the leader, Clint Boyer, here at Nashville Superspeedway as we check our Castrol GTX lap leaders. Boyer's been out front a lot tonight. His Childress teammate Scott Wimmer has led quite a bit already, but right now Clint is the man in search of his 3rd win of 2007. Phoenix International Raceway, Clint rode to victory number 1 in the NASCAR Busch Series. He was the big gunslinger out west.
Absolutely.
And then backed it up just a couple of weeks later with a win at Richmond International Raceway. This team has been hot so far in NASCAR Busch Series competition this season. Got an interesting scenario setting up now, though, Brad. Boyer did not take tires on his pit stop a moment ago. Carl Edwards did. He's up to 2nd. Scott Wimmer's charging. He's in 4th. What do you think?
I think Scott Wimmer is still the man to watch. Now, Clint's driving the wheels off this race car, and obviously Carl's coming, but we keep forgetting about Scott Wimmer. He is on the march. I think it's going to be interesting as we get down to the end of this thing.
Interesting is going to be a good word for it. Let's check in the leaders' pit now. Jamie, what do you got?
Well, Clint Boyer's team is pretty confident in their decision not to take tires. They have 1 set remaining. If a caution comes out, they may put them on. Whereas you guys said Carl Edwards wanted some rubber, so he went with his last set. Now, talking about Clint Boyer, he loves this track. He's raced here 6 times, but it's a special memory for him as he won his first ever Busch Series race right here in 2005. He said, you know, that number's not high enough, and tonight would be a good night to add race number 2, win number 2 to my resume. That's Clint Boyer.
A driver who was hoping to put win number 1 on his resume was Stephen Light, but a night with so much potential going away in a puff of smoke. What happened?
I don't know. I think we dropped a valve or blew a piston or something. It was pretty big. It popped going in, motor blew going into 1, and before I even got down the backstretch, I knew I had to pull in. It was done. I can't say enough about the City Financial team. They've worked so hard the last 5-6 weeks, and we've had cars capable of running in the front. And I know you've heard it from me a couple times this year, but I mean, if this doesn't prove how bad our luck is, I don't know what is. What will? You know, we had a good car all night long, running top 10, just sitting there riding, trying to get our car right for those last 50 laps. And we got out front there, clean air. The car was great. It's still a little tight. I don't know. I mean, when it rains, it pours. I don't know what to do.
And it is pouring right now. Bad luck. This was the portion of the race, Doc, that Stephen Light was waiting for. He said when the sun goes down, our car's really going to come to life. That was not the case. Guys?
All right, Mike, thank you very much. And the 29 car is definitely coming to life. And the longer they run, the more life that car gets. That's the horse that Brad Daugherty's been riding all night long, saying Scott Wimmer is the guy to watch. And then without a doubt, as we continue to run under green, that car seems to become the class of the field.
Yeah, we saw this thing get all jumbled up because of pit strategy, but now we see this cream rising to the top. These cars that have been able to run up front all night long, the 29 car Scott Wimmer, 2 car of Clint Boyer, and the 60 of Carl Edwards are now getting ready to be 1, 2, 3 with this pass right here on Dave Blaney.
As you look at Pat Smith, the crew chief, watching his driver, Scott Wimmer, make the pass. We'll check in their pits with Shannon.
That's right, Scott Wimmer now in the 3rd position. He is looking for his first win since 2003 and the 6th win for Richard Childress Racing this year. Just radioed in and said, we are loose. They can make it to the end. Doc?
All right, Right, hanging on to a loose race car, but still making it work there for him. Obviously, you know, it's the concrete doesn't change a whole lot here. That's probably moving in their favor, but he's got to hang on now for 43 more laps.
Yeah, we've heard him say his car is loose all night, and where that really plays into their hands is if it goes green a long way. These cars get tighter the longer and longer they run, and they burn that fuel off, and the tires build up. So if he can get a green run to the end, it might be his kind of race to win.
You know, we've been talking for quite a while now about other guys coming to the front, but I've been watching our scoring monitor guys, and Carl Edwards, the last 5 laps, has had the fastest car in the field by almost 0.2 of a second. This guy is definitely on the march also.
Carl Edwards trying to make it 3 in a row at Nashville Superspeedway, 2 in a row after winning on the concrete last week at Dover, Delaware. But he's still got to be able to catch and pass Clint Boyer, who has led now 4 times for 108 laps here tonight.
The IndyCar Series season heats up. Dan Weldon and Danica Patrick return to Texas for a showdown under the lights. The Bombardier Learjet IndyCar 550K at Texas. Coming up next, 10 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN2 tonight. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Should be a great race in Texas. We've got a great finish shaping up here. Check out Carl Edwards closing on Clint Boyer faster. As we go lap by lap, he has chopped the lead down from 2 seconds at lap 180, now to lap 189, to being just 2 car lengths.
Yeah, Alan, in a matter of about 5 laps, he closed that distance down, like I said, about 2.5, 3 car lengths. And what I'm noticing is when he dives that race car off down in the corner, he can actually go about a half a lane lower than Clint Boyer can. I mean, he looks like he's riding around in a cereal bowl. He is really driving the wheels off, and that shows that fresh rubber. That is the difference right now on Carl Edwards' race car.
And Carl with fresher tires on than Clint Boyer, who did not take tires on the last pit stop. Doc, Rusty, Andy is going to have a good fight for the lead here in a second.
Well, he's going to have a great fight on his hands, but let me tell you who's coming right now. Brad's guy's on the way. Scott Wimmer, he just ran a 30.97 compared to a 31.16. Now, folks, that's about 0.2 of a second. That equates to Wimmer's on the way to the front right now.
And you saw a wiggle a moment ago out of the 2 car. His car, the rear of that car, just came up and almost bounced off the wall. He is driving it as deep as he can, and he's trying to hold off the 60 car here of Edwards, but he is coming in a hurry.
Yeah, this is what Scott Wimmer wants. He wants these guys to get to racing real hard so he can catch them, because his car's good in the long run. If you let that 60 car, like he's taking the lead right here from Clint Boyer, they let him get out there too far, he'll be too hard to beat in that clean air.
Yeah, I'm afraid that move right now that Edwards just had happen. He got that clean air, and now he's going to get gone. Only thing would have saved Wimmer, if they could have raced side by side for 3 or 4 more laps where Wimmer could have got up to him, it'd been a lot better. But Carl, I believe with that clean air, he is color me gone.
And remember, Edwards does not have any more tires on pit road as you watch this battle here heating up for the 4th position. Teammate, Toyota teammates, Eddie Blaney being passed by Jason Leffler. As he takes away the 4th position. They are 4th, 5th, and 6th. By the way, the 6th place car making a move there. As here is Boyer looking again to the inside of the 60 car.
Well, he's not letting them go. He's holding on to them tight. Now if they get racing side by side and keep this stuff up, hey, it might be Wimmer's ball game here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I think Clint Boyer looked at his watch and said, hey, man, it's about time to pay off. Maybe I better race pretty hard. Not going to just give it to him now. He's going to race him for it.
Now, these guys got some clean racetrack right now, but Wimmer is back in traffic trying to negotiate past some of the lap cars. He's got them held up a little bit while these guys got clean air and they're on the way. We have 32 laps to go, guys, right now, and this thing is starting to shape up.
Yeah, it is. This 29 car consistently the fastest car on the track, but he's got some ground to make up.
You heard the report in the pits a moment ago that Pat Smith said that Wimmer was loose, and Andy's comment was, well, that's going to really play into his favor as the laps continue if we stay green, and we're seeing that come to bear.
Yeah, we're seeing it play out right here, and I'll tell you, I know that Pat Smith and these guys are hoping it stays green because he's liking what he's seeing.
31 laps to go here at Nashville Superspeedway, Music City, USA. And the NASCAR Busch Series stars take center stage. We are set for a shootout. Carl Edwards trying to hold off Clint Boyer, but Scott Wimmer is a man on a mission. It has been a hectic day for Carl Edwards after practicing his Cup car in Pocono, then to a jet, then to a helicopter. He arrived here shortly after 3 o'clock Eastern time. Qualified 7th, but after a dropped lug nut and lost spots on pit road, he decides to get him back on the restart, and he goes sailing by 3 cars when they drop the green flag at 157. And then Just a few laps ago, he decided it's my turn to make the pass and take the lead. And the fresh tires for Carl Edwards paying off. The Dish Network Ford is our leader. He has led twice for 26 laps, and we are showing just 23 laps to go here in this NASCAR Busch Series event in Nashville.
Wimmer has picked it up, Jerry, from 3.5 seconds back. He's only 2.2 seconds now. He's definitely got the quickest car in the field routinely almost every single lap. That's Scott Wimmer. But tell you another guy I'm looking at too is Jason Leffler. He's having a good run. He's got a fast car too. He's another guy that he's been a real fast car.
Yeah, if you're just looking at the lap board here and looking at the lap times, these cars do look good, but they got a lot of ground to make up. I see the 38 right here, Jason Leffler. He's got a fast car. He looks like he's in clean air, and he's able to make these good laps. But he's got a lot of ground to make up in a short time to do it.
Yeah, Jason Leffler is one of the 5 drivers in tonight's field that have actually won a race here at Nashville Superspeedway. Leffler's win coming in June of 2004 in his 56th start. That is his only NASCAR Busch Series win, but he was pumped about coming back here after running so well here back in the cold temperatures of April. Pretty good battle for 8th spot. Jason Keller in the 11 car. We talked about how far this team has come in just 3 races.
Yeah, they had kind of a bad pit stop, and they took tires, and these other guys took fuel only. Put him way back. I think he restarted about 13th or 14th. Driven his way back up now to the top 10 and trying to get some more.
Yeah, we've been watching Jason Keller for a long time right now, and he's been one of the guys marching to the front. He hasn't lost anything. He's got good track position. The guys in the pits got him out good. He made some good calls. And the car's handled really good all throughout the night. He hasn't put a scratch on that thing.
Yeah, he's a real pro.
Jason Keller currently being shown all the way up in 8th spot. His best finish of the year in only 4 starts was 13th at Dover. He had 14th place finish at Darlington. And trying to get a top 10 here where he has been awfully good. He has 3 top 10s and 11 starts here in a NASCAR Busch Series car at Nashville, including a runner-up finish back in 2002.
Yeah, he really likes this place, and it shows. He's passed a lot of race cars tonight.
You know, you guys heard me talking all night long about this coil-bind thing. I know I'm beating a dead horse probably here, but it's real evident. The guys with the front ends down are the fastest cars. If that front end's up a little bit, and look at that 11 car we just saw on the screen a little while ago. I mean, he's done a better job with that. It was down there.
Doing definitely a good job with that. It's kind of a tricky setup to get right, and these guys have done a good job with it. Especially as young as the team is. It's just a real young, new team.
You know, there's one thing for sure. If you want to go fast, you better figure it out.
That's right. You better figure it out fast.
Laps are clicking away. Just 18 laps left for Scott Wimmer, and he is still being shown some 3 seconds back. Give a call to the 91 car. That is former NASCAR Busch Series champion David Green out of Owensboro, Kentucky, driving the Bill Riley and Eddie DeHunt R&D Toyota. And he is making only his 2nd start this year, and he has driven his way all the way up to 12th position and been threatening for the top 10 all night. Let's check in with Mike.
And Doc, David Green's veteran understanding of these race cars is very much in demand. This year, his schedule may have not have been full with race events, but he's been a coach of sorts for Stephen Light and also for Bobby Santos. But perhaps the best illustration of how much he's in demand for his understanding of these race cars is the work he's done with Hendrick Motorsports this year. He was the test driver for their Car of Tomorrow program, and we know how that's turned out for Hendrick Motorsports this year. They've won 5 of the 6 COT events.
I'll tell you what, testing is just something you got to do. This is a brand new team. Just like you say, you know, driving for Rick Hendrick, one of the best organizations in the country. I mean, that's not a bad thing to do. To get all that seat time and understand what those guys are doing with their suspension points and all the tricks they're doing. Hey, I'd like to know that
myself. He's got to be learning some things that he's doing with his own car.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't help but learn when you're driving these other guys' cars, especially with a great organization like Hendrick. He can learn a lot over there. If nothing else, he can learn what the cars are supposed to feel like.
And for more on suspension, if you want to understand how it works and all about it, log on to ESPN.com, search word safety. As we continue to update you on some of the growing trends here in chassis setups in the NASCAR Busch Series and Nextel Cup.
So you brought up a key point there, Andy, about, you know, at least you get to see what it feels like. You know, Dale Earnhardt Jr., when he stepped in for Kyle Busch after they fixed that car, he got the feel that. And man, I'll tell you what, those Hendrick guys didn't like that a bit.
I'll tell you what, we saw Scott Wimmer coming off turn 4 right there. Big time wiggle, almost hit the wall. He's giving it everything he's got. 14 laps to go, and he's just trying to put the best laps he can on the board.
You know, he's standing on a throttle, and, you know, a lot of he's complaining he's loose, and we see that he's pretty loose. He's really fighting that car, driving it hard. He's up on the wheel, I call it, you know, but, you know, when you got a loose car, you're waiting for that fuel to burn off, so that back of that car won't be so loose, but sometimes these cars never tighten up. Sometimes they get loose, and they just can't, and they stay loose, and they drive. And you ask the driver, what's killing you? And he said, man, I've been loose all day. You got to help me a little bit.
Yeah, wear your arms out trying to fight that thing like that all day. Even if it's fast, it's still hard. It's really, when the car's loose and the back end sliding, you can't hardly take a breath, really. You just can't. You can't let your guard down at all.
Yeah, you tell the crew chief that. He said, hold on, man, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And you come back and tell him, you don't know what you're talking about, dude. It's not getting better at all.
They better get better in a hurry, because he's got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I always love that line from Smokey and the Bandit. 12 laps to go here as Carl Edwards has come a long way today. All the way from Pocono, Pennsylvania. One of 8 drivers doing double duty, running 300 miles here in the NASCAR Busch Series tonight. And he'll head back to Pocono to the Mattioli's track, and he'll run 500 miles on Sunday afternoon.
Jerry, I tell you what, we had like 73 laps to go. We saw a lot of guys coming in 65 laps into the run. I think that everybody can't make this race, Andy. I think some of them are going to have a problem if this thing goes green.
Yeah, it might be tight on a few of these guys. I got to think some of the crew chiefs will probably tell them their drivers to roll out of the throttle a little bit early, don't use as much brake, try to get us a few more laps of fuel here to try to make it. It's going to put a lot of guys right at least at the very end of their fuel run.
And as a crew chief, you'd be asking the driver, you'd be asking me, hey, what's that car driving like? Is it pushing the front end or is it loose? Because if that thing's pushing the front end, I'm going to burn more fuel, and the crew chief needs to know that.
Yeah, absolutely, because if it depends on how the car's handling, how much fuel you're burning. A loose car doesn't use near as much fuel as a tight car does.
Carl Edwards, he's quickly becoming the king of concrete in the NASCAR Busch Series. He won at Bristol, Tennessee, won a week later in Nashville, Tennessee, won at Dover, Delaware last week, and he is 10 laps away from getting a 4th win, all 4 coming on concrete. What is it about concrete? Rusty, you were really good at Bristol. Dale Earnhardt was good at Bristol. Your first wins came there. Some guys just take to the concrete very quickly.
Some of the guys that drive concrete, Jerry, think that when they get on the concrete, they don't feel the car real good, but quite honestly, it gives you a lot of grip, the concrete does. I know when you're in a road course car and you fly down into turn 1 at Watkins Glen, downshift that baby in the 2nd gear and pick the throttle up, you're on that concrete, and man, that's a feel good. Those cars have a lot of grip. Now, switching gears a little bit, talking about concrete, these cats got to get used to concrete, because if you go to BristolMotorSpeedway.com and look at those pictures of that new concrete racetrack at Bristol, that baby's going to be fast.
Yeah, take a look at the numbers for Carl, the concrete kid Edwards. Bristol, Dover, Nashville, 15 races he's won, and 4 wins, and 11 top 10s on concrete racetracks. That's pretty good.
I bet he's wishing they'd just pave all the tracks with concrete. The way his record is, man, I'll tell you what, I didn't know he was that good. I knew he'd won a few races this year, but man, he's good on concrete.
Back-to-back here at Nashville, maybe back-to-back-to-back here at Nashville. Let's check in his pits with Jamie.
Well, Doc, earlier I heard Rusty Wallace say it ain't over till the fat lady sings. Well, I think that's what Carl Edwards is thinking. He's telling his crew chief, Pierre Cattell, to tell him his lap time every lap. Even though his lead is way up there right now and he's still turning the fastest laps, he wants to know who's closest to him, and they said, man, don't worry. The fastest car behind you is in 4th position. So he just radioed and said, all right, so how are we on fuel? Pierre said, we are good, man, and we are good to the end.
Well, that's a good feeling. When you hear that, I'm good to the end on fuel, you got to be loving that part. There's a lot of guys pitted the same time Carl did and topped off, so if he's comfortable, that's a pretty good indication a lot of the guys are looking good, but I still believe that some of them might be pushing it just a little bit.
Guys, I figured it out. Carl Edwards owns his own record label, and he knows that when you win here, you get a very special trophy. And it's unlike anywhere else. You get a great country music guitar.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't know what kind of airplane he's got, but he better get a faster one, because he almost missed qualifying, and the rest of these guys made it, and he didn't. So I don't know what he's flying, but he better soup it up a little bit, because that cat's making some money. He can afford something faster, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe you could trade one of those really neat guitar trophies here. For
maybe so.
A little bit better wings. 5 laps to go for Carl Edwards. And by the way, for you Carl Edwards fans, he will start 32nd in his Roush Fenway Ford on Sunday at Pocono.
5 laps to go.
Inside of Kyle Krisiloff.
You see him being real careful around these lap cars. He's got a big lead. Here's a car that may be out of fuel. This 10 car, Dave Blaney.
And Blaney was being shown in the top 5.
Trying to spray some ether down in the opening there that goes to the carburetor, try to get it going.
Man, some of these guys better start pedaling the throttle, getting out of it early, coasting it in, because this 10 car running on the field is an indication that some of this stuff's starting to go bad.
That's a tough break for Blaney.
Tell you what, if I didn't have anybody to race right now, you're right, that was a bad break for Blaney because he had a good car. If I wasn't racing anybody, he'd be getting out of that throttle early now, Andy, floating that baby in the corner and saving some of that gas.
It's almost too late to do it now. They need to be doing it this whole run. They kind of have what they've got here. There's about 3 laps to go. A lot of guys are just hoping they can make it now.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, some of these other race courses we run, places like Watkins Glen, I mean, I've seen guys actually turn the motor off and coast down the racetrack, fire it back up, turn it back off, fire it back up. Anything they can do to save fuel. 3 to go, Jared.
Shutting it off and shutting it on. Scott Wimmer trying to do anything he can here with 3 laps to go, but he's running out of time and running out of racetrack. As Carl Edwards is just 2 laps away, actually 1 lap away from the white flag. And as Edwards, Boyer, Scott Wimmer, Leffler, and Regan Smith in the top 5.
And Jason Leffler's run down the 29 of Scott Wimmer. He's had the fastest car the last 25 laps. And now he's finally erased some of that deficit. Now he might be able to get Scott Wimmer here. It looks like he's going to do it. He's pulling on the inside. Nope, not going to give it to him.
Jason Leffler finished 4th here back in April, trying to get his best finish of the year if he can make this pass inside of Wimmer and take over the 3rd position.
The fastest car in the field is definitely Jason Leffler by almost 2 to 3/10 of a second, but he's going to run out of time. It's 1 to go.
White flag for Carl Edwards, and the 27-year-old driver from Columbia, Missouri, will come out of turn 4 as he gets ready to come down and take his 4th win of the season. And Carl Edwards will go back to back to back and get the wins at Nashville Superspeedway. Carl Edwards takes it.
Concrete conqueror, dude. You are getting it done.
Well, I'll say.
Unbelievable. He did not get a single practice lap in that car. There's Jack Roush and PK Pierre Cattell. What a great job, guys. Kudos to you guys, the Dish Network crew. His first lap of practice was actually the first lap of the race. He came in and jumped in the car and qualified at 7th.
Great job, everybody. Great job.
I'll tell you what, he didn't have the best car to start with. These guys had to go to work on that thing. That first run, he'd lost some ground.
Let's check in where Mike is caught up with PK.
And Pierre Cattell, Doc just called your driver the Concrete Kid. What is it about these concrete tracks and you guys?
Man, I don't know if it's just the layout or the concrete or what it is, but Carl can get it done on these places. I was telling him that. I read that earlier. The Concrete Conqueror, he is getting it done, that's for sure.
And we've got all kinds of debris, people throwing up things in celebration here. With your huge point lead that you have right now, how much more freedom has it given you to get really aggressive and go for these wins?
You know, we're still trying to get through this, you know, each race at a time. I'm not saying we're getting real aggressive yet. I would say we're just racing good.
Well, congratulations. No one can doubt that. He picks up his 3rd consecutive win here in Nashville.
And with that classic signature flip for Carl Edwards, not only does he get his 3rd consecutive win, he picks up that coveted trophy. He gets his 3rd consecutive special guitar here at Nashville Superspeedway.
The Nashville trophy is unbelievable. That's it. That's the coolest trophy out there.